Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about step 3 in the process of building your brand. So in last week's video, and I'll link it above in my playlist, last week's video was about talking about positioning, where we're looking at the market as a whole. Where are we going to niche? What do we want to focus on? Then we actually crafted our customer profile so that we can refer to it every time. And then we closed it off with building our positioning statement. And that pretty much summed up positioning. Now what we want to do is we want to create the brand's personality. And we're going to talk about attributes and how they play an important role within the brand itself. So stick around, we're going to talk more in just a few minutes. Let's go. So what are attributes exactly? It's basically describing the brand. It's like characteristics, it's the same term. But the attributes cover the different areas within the brand. So we're covering culture, the type of people, the feeling, the voice, the impact, as well as the X factor. So these 6 categories are categories that we have to cover through attributes. So we need to pick the right adjectives that are going to describe each of these categories within the brand, because each of these areas are a section of our brand. And normally what I do to help really make this a fun process is I put everything into a chart. And here's an example of something I've done in the past with one of my clients. And basically, we just ping-ponged back and forth adjectives that would describe, the type of people that, they would want to attract, right? And the type of culture that they wanted to create. So we just kind of put ourselves on a timer and we went through all these things. So usually what I do is I time myself. I give myself maybe a minute to 5 minutes per column. And then I start slimming it down and then I lessen my time to a minute to 5 seconds. Because what we need to do is we need to take this huge list and slim it down to 1 word per each category. So what we do is we brainstorm as much as we can, then we slim it down to the top 5 for each column. Then we have to slim it down to a primary word. And that primary word is basically what we're going to harness. The other 5 could kind of ring in every once in a while if it comes to, designing the actual mood board / stylescape for the actual brand. But these are the sections that really help drive the art direction. Will also help with messaging too, because the words that we want to use, especially under voice, how do you want to sound to your people? Do you want to sound down to earth? Do you want to sound eccentric? Do you want to sound, maybe chilled? However you want to describe yourself, but these words are going to play a big part. So make sure that the words that you choose are not really common words. You want to choose words that are not very cliche. You want to get really deep into unique words because you want people to remember you for that. Oh yeah, Christina's pretty down to earth type of person. I really enjoy being around her because she's very honest and transparent. But yeah, personality covers a lot of things within the brand. It covers the look, it covers the feel, it covers the behavior. Basically, personality is just literally the overall arcing factor of how this brand is going to be perceived to the market, to the world, however you want to look at it. But again, like I said, it drives the art direction, it drives the messaging. People refer to this all the time as designers such as me. We need this in our brief so that we can construct those words and translate them into visual. Remember what I told you, that foundation that we built given the start of building this house? So yeah, the personality now starts to frame the house. So now we have an enclosure of a house done. We have, the kind of vibe that we want to showcase here. And then moving on to identity is going to be, how a color the house going to be, and, what style windows is it going to have? What kind of furniture is it going to, have inside? Those are the types of things that you'll start looking at later on. But these words, like I said, have to be chose carefully and crafted carefully. And make sure the words are positive too. You don't want anything negative. We can look at this special triangle here. This is a triangle diagram that I always like to show my people, because sometimes we forget what people see and what people don't see. So obviously the look and feel are what people are going to see, what is visible to them, right? So that's quite obvious. Whereas here at the bottom with culture is something that they cannot see. You would have to show that within the visuals. And that's not a big deal, right? Because culture can be shown in many ways. You can show it in imagery, you can show it in your messaging, you can show it within the furniture or the items that you have in your space. So it's not that hard, but you definitely want to see on this scale here that, culture is a big factor, but you cannot see it until you engage with the brand more deeper level. Even with the values and beliefs, same thing. You cannot see values. You have to show them. And as well as tone of voice. You can't see the voice. You have to show that through your messaging as well. That's why look and feel is one of those, I can see clearly, what type of culture you are. And does that vibe with me? Maybe, maybe not. So those are questions that you have to ask yourself too when it comes to creating these things. What do you want them to see? And how do you want them to engage with the brand? And that's pretty much it, guys, for this video when it comes to brand personality. This one is pretty thorough. And, I do actually can touch upon some of the other points too if you're actually feeling a little bit confused about all of this. So the chart here, we talk about culture. So culture is the environment, how, you created, the space and how you want them to interact within the space. Do you want them to feel like they belong? Do you want them to feel comfortable? Those are things to keep in mind. The people as well. What type of people are you looking for? Are these people maybe conscious about the environment? Are they concerned about the world? Are they striving for social justice? Those are all different types of people, right? Not everyone's going to share the same thing. And then the next one you would want to hone in on is, the feeling that you want to bring. So how do you want these people to feel when they associate with your brand? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel comfortable? Do you want them to feel relaxed? These are things that you have to keep that in mind too. And like I said, back to the voice. The voice is how do you want to sound to people? And this is kind of hard. I know I struggled with it when I was building my brand, because for me, what do I sound like? Sometimes you got to ask people. So for me, I felt like other people said that they felt relaxed around me because my voice is so soothing. And if that's what it sounds like, then I will go with that, right? That's somebody else's perception. Do I believe that? Probably, because I do feel the same. And the next one is impact. So what kind of impact do you want to bring? So are you bringing an impact of connection? So because you're building community, maybe your impact is community and connection. So you want people to feel, connected to the community. Or what other impacts can you bring? Maybe you're bringing in interesting events, or because the people that you're attracting are social justice activists, maybe they want to have a what do they call those things? Like a speaker event, like a speaker setup. So you have a place for them to speak. And that's interesting too, right? Not many people have that. And then you have X factor. So the X factor is what kind of sets you apart from everybody else. Do you offer some interesting packages, or do you have interesting collaborations? There's so many other interesting aspects that you can add to this, but these are things to think about, and it does get harder as you get down further down the table. But this is kind of how I look at everything in terms of designing a brand and looking at everything as a whole, right? Because this is what brand strategy is about. Brand strategy is about looking at your brand from a bird's eye view. So we're looking at the whole holistic thing. Then we start narrowing it down and zooming in on aspects of the identity. So when we jump to brand identity, working on the logo, working on colors, that's when we zoom in into certain areas. But for now, we're only looking at the bird's eye view, because it makes sense to look at everything holistically first, and everything, is lined up accordingly. So yeah, that's pretty much everything in today's video. So we'll briefly go over what we talked about. So basically we talked about brand personality, which is step 3 in the process of building a brand. And what we need to do is we need to look at the type of brand that we want to create visually. How do we want people to feel? How do we want people to interact with us? How do we want to sound to them? How is our environment going to be, as well as the type of people we want to attract? What are they like? And then plus, on the other side of things, we have to look at our X factor. What sets us apart? What makes us different? And that is huge. We talked about, the different areas within the brand using this table. So I hope that that was super helpful. And once you get all your words together, you should have 6 words to pull from. We are going to move on to the next stage, which is pretty much building out your mood board. And the mood board is basically your art direction. So we're going to move on to that in this next video. So please stick around for the next video, and I hope that you're enjoying this series so far. So thank you so much. Please subscribe in order to stay tuned for the next step. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Have a good one, guys. Keep smiling. Bye.